You started the bit. I hate this. I'm ready to turn my lap PC off already. I can't be asked to do this.
Q James.
My pick this week, Knives Out. Was very happy to watch it again. How did I say housekeeping already? I don't know. Fucking shit, cunts.
I think that's going to be your opener.
That is the
I'm
opener.
so ready to turn my fucking PC off.
Can't be asked.
It's time for James Bond not to be a detective, Captain America to be a doctor, and the woman from A Fish Called Wanda to call another woman a bitch. Welcome to the Three Takes of Stupidity. This is the second of our Murder Mystery Trilogy. This week, it's The Last Jedi's director's other movie, Knives Out. I'm joined by Chandler Monk,
Hello.
James Robbins,
Hiya.
and I'm Alex Clinton IV. Let's go.
I'm not drawing reference to the fourth.
But you did! In not drawing reference, you did! The fourth stands!
All right, normal casual lead up. Can't be asked this week. What have you guys been up to this week?
Chandler, why didn't you take this one?
I think that's what always happens.
What have I been up to this week? Again, for the third week in a row, me and my partner have been watching Slow Horses. We finally caught up to the end of season 4, which is all the episodes that is currently out at the moment, and we both really enjoyed it. Thought the season finale of Slow Horses season 4 was very, very good, very touching, very well acted by like Jonathan Pryce, and I can't remember the name of actually the main guy, and but also like Gary Oldman's very good. That's pretty much it, I think, that I've watched. I haven't done much this week.
No, neither have I. I've watched a lot of tennis, and on my way to work, on my way back from work, I've listened to LBC and got annoyed about the bin situation in Birmingham. That was weird. I didn't know I cared about bins until people got really angry about it. It was like, wow, holy shit, I care about bins. I care about bin men.
Do you care about Birmingham?
No, I don't care about any of it. Now I'm out. Now I'm. It's like now I'm out of the bar, so to speak. I don't care about anything. I don't care about any bins. I don't care about the city of Birmingham. I don't care about bin men.
Fair enough.
Wow, that's rude. They're very useful in our society.
Yep. So postmen. Don't think about them very often. James, what have you watched this week?
Quick aside.
What the fuck is your quick aside to bin men?
No, quick.
His dad, Chandler's born off the back of bin men.
Oh, fuck off.
James is right. My family owned a commercial race and cycling business.
No, your dad is Tony Soprano. We all know it. James, what have you watched this week?
Well, so Alex, if anything, now I'm with you, mate. I'm with you now. I don't care about bin men.
Oh, fuck you. I went on bin runs when I was like 14 and 15. Good old child labour for my parents. James, what have you been up to this week?
When you were watching films.
Yeah, somehow you're watching all those films at the age of 6 on the back of a bin lorry.
Oh, my life.
James, what animes have you watched this week?
I've not watched any animes this week. I've not watched anything
Thank
new this week,
God.
but I did start don't be rude. I did start a new game that came out on Game Pass called South of Midnight, and in relation to this film, actually, Benoit Blanc, the main character, he has a miscellaneous southern accent. Some have said it's Cajun, some say Louisiana, some say Kentucky, but it's southern USA. And this game, he's also been complained about for it. But anyway, this game is set in New Orleans, and it's based around like New Orleans folk stories. And a character of color from New Orleans gets this power to be like a weaver, and there's kind of like magic stuff, and your mum has been washed downstream in a hurricane, and you need to go and why is Alex laughing? You need to go and save your mum, basically, and it's really fun. Actually, it's really cool that it's not a setting I've heard much about. So yeah, excited to play more of it. It's got rated well as well.
That sounds like the dullest game in the world.
I'm bored. I've actually started playing Farming Simulator, and that is so exciting. That bored me.
You got to like defeat monsters and stuff. It's very linear. I think it'll be quite a short game.
What do you mean you don't know anything about that time period? I thought you just said. Is that not what you just said? I don't know anything about.
No, he doesn't know anything about New Orleans.
No, so I don't know much about folk stories from New Orleans.
Ah, but you have to defeat monsters. There's no monsters in New Orleans. There's a house of the rising sun. That was a really good joke.
I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it as well. Shut the fuck... Mate, if anime writers had wrote that song, you would have loved that. Oh, actually, that is one thing I need to bring up really quickly to James. Thanks to you, shithead, my Netflix has started offering me anime. Right. Chandler, tell us about the film.
Watch some. Watch Attack
No,
on
it came on.
Titan.
It was really weird. It was more Studio Ghibli, and it was gross. There was some woman with a big face. Chandler, tell us about the movie.
Why is Charlie telling you about it? It's not his pick.
It's James's pick. James
I don't know. James, tell us about the movie.
My film this week, really excited to watch it again and get our housekeeping out the way. As always, the circumstances surrounding the death of crime novelist Harlan Thrombey are mysterious, but there's one thing that renowned detective Benoit Blanc knows for sure. Everyone in the wildly dysfunctional Thrombey family is a suspect. Now Blanc must sift through a web of lies and red herrings to uncover the truth. Communism is not a red herring in this one.
I was so going to see if you were going to say that.
But it's really, really highly rated amongst critics and the audience on Rotten Tomatoes, and 97% amongst critics and 92% amongst the audience, which is normally the other way around, and a 7.9 on IMDb. So following the trend of what I mentioned last week of it's in the 7s of IMDb and in the 80s plus of Rotten Tomatoes, you're going to have a good time. And I had a good time. Did you boys have a good time?
I did have a good time. I enjoyed it. Chandler, did you enjoy it?
Alex, I think you mentioned last week you'd never seen this one before, had you?
No, I had not seen this. I hadn't seen this film, and I enjoyed it. Much like I enjoyed last week's one, where it was a genuine murder mystery, and I was intrigued throughout. I also read in my research that the film was inspired by, I think the writer is Rian Johnson, I want to say.
Rian Johnson, yeah.
Rian Johnson, not Rain, which is how I thought it was pronounced. Yeah, it was written by Rian Johnson. That's not how you spell Ryan. Rian Johnson. And he was inspired by Agatha Christie's novels.
Oh, yeah. You can tell for sure.
And you can feel it in this story.
Like, Blanc is definitely like a
Poirot.
sort of modern version of Poirot, yeah.
He is
Poirot.
We're having such bad pronunciation today. We're sorry.
Poirot.
Thanks, James.
But it was...
There's a great Doctor Who episode about Agatha Christie. Sorry, James, carry on.
As I mentioned last week as well, during Clue, I think that Knives Out was definitely inspired by Clue. And it opens with a big mansion and dogs, just like Clue. And they mention Lakeith Stanfield's character. He literally says one line later on in the movie, it's like a game of Clue, or Cluedo to Brits.
Yeah, the actual line was like, it's like they're all pieces on a clue board or something. I remember writing down.
Yeah.
I picked up on that as well. Like, it is very, you can tell from the off, like, it is, like, I don't think it's very campy to start out with, like Clue is, but there are definitely moments of, this is more a mystery than Clue is, because Clue is more an outright comedy with mystery thrown in. Whereas this is more of like trying to thread you along the mystery, but there are moments of comedy within it, and those moments of comedy are quite campy.
Yeah, I think even without the comedy, it's still quite campy in just depiction. Everyone's not as much as Clue, but everyone's performance is a little bit extra. Everyone's really leaning into their roles, almost like, as I said, there are characters on a clue board, like in Clue. They're all leaning into themselves really, really hard. And they all fill a different dynamic, and then that comes in with our cast characters and their motives.
I didn't get campy as much. Maybe from Little Nazi Boy. He was quite campy, ironically. But
I wrote his name down as James Robbins.
What?
I'm surprised that you thought they were campy, James. I thought you would have thought they were a trope of a millionaire's family. Were they not all playing the tropes of millionaire family children?
Oh, they absolutely are. Why do you always look at me like that's a bad thing to say? Like, yeah,
because you just always go to, they were tropey. They were tropey.
Oh, they were. They wear it on their chest in this film.
The one thing I wrote down about Chris Evans's character, Ransom, is... James is just going to call him a Nepo baby the whole record.
He was, to be fair, he was. He was a trope of a Nepo baby.
Do you know how happy I am that the illegal immigrant won in the film?
No. She's not illegal. Her mum's illegal.
Yeah.
And we do not know if the mum won. She might have got away with it in the big house, and as her mum was arriving with a suitcase, they just carted her off back to Mexico.
We can.
Oh, wait, no, she's Brazilian, isn't she?
It's a fun running gag. We'll talk about
Did you
later.
just do that trope of did you just do the running gag in there where none of them know where she's actually from?
Yes, I did.
They keep naming different South American countries.
So before this gets too confusing, we have two lead characters here. We've mentioned Daniel Craig's detective Benoit Blanc, but we have Ana de Armas's Marta Cabrera.
Good pronunciation.
Thank you. I tried. Probably Cabrera.
It went bad. It went south.
Marta is the family nurse, where there is a running gag that her family immigrated from South America and nobody knows where she's really from. I think Paraguay, Brazil, Uruguay, and are all mentioned. Maybe some others.
So she's the nurse, not to the family, but to the crime novelist that does get murdered.
Yeah, Harlan Thrombey,
who is like the patriarch of this family, and we're introduced to his daughter Linda, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, whose husband is Richard, played by Don Johnson.
I thought they were really, really good, actually, them two as a pair. Very cliche, wealthy family. She was very much the daddy's girl sort of thing that she took. So early on, she's one of the first people to be interviewed at the start of the movie by Benoit Blanc. And we kind of get an idea of her motives. She's definitely not one I was like, she's on the list afterwards, but she always wanted the favor of her father and always had played games with him, because if you played a game with him, you could kind of get to know him better, and if not, you weren't really worth his time.
I think it's more get love from him.
Yes.
I didn't put a top of my suspects list. Like playing games with your dad is fine. Slitting his throat isn't a very fun game. You also only get to play it once.
In films like this, so let's just quickly run through the rest of the family. So you have also his youngest son, Walt, played by Michael Shannon, his daughter-in-law, Joni, played by Toni Collette, and then Ransom, who is Linda's and Richard's son, played by Chris Evans, and Meg, who's played by Catherine Langford. And very quick aside about Catherine Langford, me and my partner recently saw her playing Sally Bowles in Cabaret a couple months ago. She was very good.
Nice.
But yeah.
She's a 13 Reasons Why fame, I believe.
Yes.
That smile, that damn smile.
Yeah. I've only seen that meme. I've never seen the show.
No, neither have I.
I've never seen the show nor the meme, so I have no idea what's going on.
She was also supposed to be an aged up version of Tony Stark's kid in Endgame, but they cut her scenes out.
Oh, nice. Good trivia.
Anyway.
Aside on Michael Shannon as well, he's our favourite drug dealer from the Christmas episodes.
He
we did
the night before.
Yeah.
The ghost of Christmas druggy past, future, and
quicker
present. Another quick aside.
Another quick aside, Ana de Armas is stunning. Anyway,
and another quick aside, John Johnson played our favourite slave driver in Django Unchained. James says that he was his favourite slave driver he's ever seen.
What the fuck is this bullshit this week? Next to be interviewed is Richard Drysdale, and he's got way more of a motive for offing Harlan. At first, he seems chill, cool guy, and he's made his own money, his own company, but he's cheating on Linda, and Harlan knows it. So
the film is set up really well because you see the murder that this murder mystery is about within a minute. Like, you see Christopher Plummer's Harlan dead on his couch within the first 60 seconds,
knife in his neck and blood everywhere.
And then it cuts to a week later, which I did think was a weird choice, but we basically meet a character who we meet Ana de Armas' Marta, who is then told, okay, you need to come back to the house and you're going to be asked for questioning. And then that's when we get into the interviews, and then the interview scenes are set up really cliche in a way. Like, there's a mysterious man at the back just not saying a word.
Pressing a key on the keyboard every now and again.
Exactly. And yeah, so we meet Linda, we meet her husband Richard, and it's all explained to you who they are within the family. I think even though these first, 20 minutes, half an hour with the flashbacks and everything, it's quite, all it is exposition. Once you get through it, the film's all right, but you got to...
It's an interrogation,
get through it first. Yeah.
And I think I liked how it build throughout, because Lakeith Stanfield's character is interviewing them with Benoit Blanc in the background before he gets involved, and I felt like he would press the key on the keyboard every now and again at moments, and I felt like it was almost like antagonizing, and also wanted to draw attention to him because he didn't want to butt in on the police investigation because he's a PI. No,
but what he wanted to do was to ask them the same question.
Yeah.
And if you realise, when he presses the key, immediately Lieutenant Elliot asks, "At what time did you arrive at the party?" So he's basically trying to get a whereabout with all the with the movements of the night that Harlan died.
Yeah.
And then the next interview after Richard is Tony Collette's character Joni, which is his daughter-in-law. And here's where the film, I think, once Benoit Blanc sort of gets into the interviewing, you can see how well even though, as I say, it is exposition, how well it is written, because you can see him coercing, I would say, like, them to give up their family. Like, you see Linda right at the start, who's like, "I'm never talking about my family in front of you." And the other two who have married into the family are just like, "Fuck it, I'll give up everyone. I know it's not me, so fuck them all."
There is that fantastic bit with Linda where she says, "You think I'm going to badmouth my family in front of you?" And then it cuts to Richard, and he's like, this person's a dick. They're a dick. They did this. There's a reason for this. But the exposition, it's the way a murder mystery has to go. You have to get the setting, you have to get the characters, you have to get the motives. We have the setting in a beautiful mansion. We have all of our characters being introduced to us, and the way the motives are delivered to us, beautiful.
I agree, and I think there's exposition for exposition's sake, and then there's it being woven into the fabric of the story, and this is very much woven into the fabric of the story. There's a lot to be said about negatives in films when a character is just randomly in a scene telling you what's happened and why they've worked it out rather than showing you. Whereas you kind of have a bit more license to do that in an interrogation, because you know you're going to find out information. You don't know if it's true, because the whole point is it's a mystery. You're not going to find the answers in this first few minutes. So Joni, we find out a little later what her motive would have been. And it's that she's been duplicating payments for her daughter's school.
She's been ripping him off.
Yeah, so there's been some money going straight to the school, but there's been a duplicate payment going straight to her bank account, so she can fund her company, Flam. She's very much inspired by Gwyneth Paltrow.
You can definitely see, like, Goop.
Yeah, Goop with Flam. Goop of Flam.
This film came out 6 years ago. You can definitely see that it came out in that time period.
Yeah.
By the sort of, like, when they're having their political conversation later on in the film and what they're talking about. And you can definitely see, for right or wrong, you decide at home, whichever way you want to land on certain debates. We don't judge here at the Three Takes of Stupidity.
Oh, I judge.
You can definitely see that this came out during Trump's first presidency, essentially, and the, like, political height.
Yeah.
The political height, the political, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Undertones.
Yeah. Well, Richard is heavily implied that he voted for Trump, and he's like talks about being opposed to illegal immigration. He's like, Marta came to this country the right way, and and then they treat her like family, but ultimately they're always looking down on her, and that's hinted throughout the movie. Even though they're like, you're family to us, and then at the same time, he seems to oppose far-right views as he calls his nephew Jacob a Nazi and a little creep. And the kid is full-on red-pilled.
Jesus, you can definitely tell what time period this podcast was recorded in.
What does red pill mean?
Being a part of, like,
far right.
Alt-right red pilled, like the manosphere of Andrew Tate and Trump and Elon Musk and all that crap that is destroying our youth today.
Like this podcast will be, so we can get more viewers.
Whatever gets us more viewers.
Yeah, if you'd like to see us move on to the alt-right pipeline, let us know.
Yeah. Don't arrest Andrew Tate. Is that will get us viewers?
Probably not the type we want.
We just want any at this point.
Okay.
Walt, we have Walt. Walt is also interviewed at this point. Walt Thrombey, Michael Shannon, and again, and he's creep. Michael Shannon's so good at playing a creep. He is quite intense throughout the film. He runs the publishing company that his dad's books are released at. So, he doesn't do much. His dad hands him a book and he goes, okay, we're going to release it because my dad's famous. But again, a little later on, we find out that his dad's going to fire him. And at the party, Harlan's had, at the party that we're shown in the flashbacks, because this film's non-linear, you get a lot of flashbacks, and present day. It's done really, really well.
Were you about to say flash forwards?
I was going to say flash forwards. I was like, wait, it's not flash forward, it's flash to now. He's had a row with almost every one of his family, Harlan, at the party, including Walt. He's going to fire him and he won't be heading up the publishing company because Walt wants to make TV and film out of his dad's book. And his dad doesn't want him to.
He basically chose that party to just absolutely carpet bomb the whole family. You're fired. Yeah. You're not getting anything. Stop double dipping my money. Everyone's gone.
So basically, it's presented to you that he's having his 85th birthday party, and on this day, he basically says to the four main suspects that is presented to you as these are probably the four people. One of the four people has done this. Ransom is grandkid because he's been written out the will. Walt's his son because he's going to fire him of being the head of the publishing company. Richard, his son-in-law, because he's cheating on his daughter, and his daughter-in-law Joni because she's been double dipping and taking extra money that wasn't promised to her. And yeah, you're right, Alex. He's just like, fuck it. I'm just going to have all the arguments with the people in my family I hate.
It's very convenient that he has those arguments and then he dies and then the whole mystery comes up because it's a very convenient time. He might not have had any of those rows.
It's almost as if someone's written it.
Yeah, almost. Too convenient. I'm on to you, writers. There's a couple of other members of the family that they're not really involved as much. You got Meg Thrombey, who's the daughter. She's young, fights the good fight, but then ultimately later on, when her family put her under some pressure, she does crumble to their side, despite seemingly she's the most kind. You also have Donna Thrombey, played by Ricky Lindholm. She's married to Walt. There's a reason her son's a massive Nazi because she's a big-time Nazi as well, seemingly. She seems like the mild-mannered good wife, but yeah, she is very racist. And
James's first love.
How are you 180ing my true character so much this episode? What is this bit?
I know, that was so uncalled for. I know. We haven't mentioned the main family member, Mr. Decapitation himself, Harlan Thrombey.
Very true.
Who doesn't take very well to losing whatever board game it was he was playing.
Go.
Never heard of it.
I think it's a Chinese game.
It is a Chinese game that was invented 2,500 years ago. I'm surprised neither of you ever heard of it.
It's 2,500 years in the making, and he still shitted it.
This is meant to be quite difficult.
Yeah, obviously. That's why he keeps losing.
Yeah, he plays it with just two people, Marta and Ransom, and it sounds like he just loses to both of them.
What a name Ransom is, by the way.
No, his name is Hugh.
And he's
Ransom.
An arsehole. I do enjoy, after years of seeing Chris Evans play prim and proper Captain America, and I think I mentioned this talking about him as Johnny Storm with Chandler in our Fantastic Four video as well. It's always a bit jarring, but fun to see him play an arsehole. And Ransom is a prick, and apparently he just argues with everyone. He's never got a job. He's living off Granddad's money. He has a row. We find out very quickly that he finds out that Harlan has written the family out the will. And that is his big motive.
It's very unfair, though, isn't it? Because all the family get really annoyed that he hasn't got a job when they've all got the jobs that their dad gave them. They've just got all of Daddy's jobs. There's no more Daddy's jobs to give out, which sounds like some sort of terrible sexual euphemism.
Talking of this came out during Trump's first presidency. There is a slight little jab at Linda. Of like, she started herself, but no, she started with $1 million loan from her father. I was like, that's such a Trump reference.
That's so later on that they say that, but yeah, earlier in the film, she's bigging up her about her building up her own company, and a lot of the family say like, we built ourselves up, and I can't remember who says no, who didn't. Walt was given his job by his dad; he does fuck all. Linda given $1 million loan. Whatever she's got and the dad's got has helped her husband's business, and Ransom's there for a free ride, and Ransom's a big dickhead. He everyone calls him Ransom except the help, as he calls them. So he asked the housekeeper to call him Q.
Which you would. I often do that.
Yeah.
Is your help called Sophie?
Yeah. Is that how you refer to your partner?
No, it's how I refer to myself in the mirror while I'm cleaning my own toilet.
Just telling yourself that you need all the help you can get.
Refer to yourself as Alexander, you bitch.
Moving on to the plot. So I wanted to set this up in a way, guys, so we can break it up quite easily, because I think there's 3 mysteries that break the movie up. The first off is we find out kind of quite quickly, and that is who we're led to believe did it. And then we know who did it. But I remember when I watched it the first time, I was like, why is this film still going? Because they're not getting anywhere yet. And then we find out something.
It's because as the really eloquent way that Benoit Blanc put it, there was a hole at the center of this mystery, a donut hole.
Yeah, I love this bit. I know, and then there's a hole in the donut hole. So the donut hole was an actual donut, and then donut goes in the donut, and there's a donut hole, and there's a hole in a donut, and they're all donuts because this film is filled with mysteries.
Breathe.
Basically, the same joke is played off in the second one, Glass Onion, because it's layers like an onion.
Like Shrek?
Yeah. Ogres have layers.
Oh, such an innocent, yeah.
I do agree with you, James. Like, I think it's really well done, because the one trope in this film that I still cannot get on board with, and I think, and as well written as this film is, I do think this one thing in the film makes it a little bit lazy, is just having a character that can't lie.
No, I like it.
I like it as well.
I thought it was clever.
Really? I don't know.
They use it as an excellent plot device. I kind of get where you're coming from to start with, but I've got some points written down. It's used so well.
I agree with you that it's lazy, because like it's something that someone would come up with where they're like, a character that can't lie, and someone really should have gone, no.
It's like when fake truth serum is used in films. It's like, it's like in an interrogation scene. You're not going to tell me the truth? Well, look at this truth serum I've developed.
I think it's really good to the characterization of Marta, because so there's a really elegant scene where it explains what she did. Essentially, she is led to believe that she was the cause of his death. On his birthday, they have a tradition. They always play Go, and it's time for his meds. And then she's being a little bit cheeky because she's like, "Do you want to do drugs?" And she gives him a little.
Do you want to use some extra morphine?
A bit of morphine here and there, and he's like, "I can't believe I waited like 70, 80 years to jump on morphine and do drugs, because it's fantastic." The Three Takes of Stupidity do not condone drug use.
However, if you do morphine, it's highly addictive, so stable.
Sidebar. So yeah, I was going to ask, have either of you ever had morphine?
I've never had morphine.
I've heard it's very fun.
You guys are missing out.
Chandler's still chasing that dragon.
I'm just going to point out, the only time I've ever had morphine is when I've been in hospital after surgeries.
That tends to be where most normal people have it.
Just gonna Just going to also add to that I was 10 years old and apparently I kept going, can I have more morphine? Like every 20 minutes.
What kind of 10-year-old gets hooked on morphine? What the fuck was wrong with you?
I've lived a very long, hard life. Anyway,
somehow, for some reason, it seems as though the drugs have been switched, or she's made a mistake and she's given him the wrong drug, and in 10 minutes he'll die. But using his excellent novelist mind, writing, I assume he writes crime. Yeah, he's a crime novelist.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, he is a crime novelist, yeah.
He formulates in those 10 minutes a plan for her to get out of this situation that involves her dressing up as him, leaving the house, coming back to the house, moving her car a certain way because her Linda will hear every noise when someone goes up and down the stairs. She's a light sleeper. Joni is awake doing meditation and flam shit that from meditation and weird stuff. And there's no way she can get away. But he formulates this plan, and I think he believed that someone had done something dodgy to her medical bag here.
I don't know about that, but what I will say is there's I listen to a lot of Richard Osman, and he does say that the only people to get away with a murder would be crime novelists because they've thought about it in every different way for a book to make sense. And he's saying, if I wanted to commit, he doesn't say this, but he's like, I'm pretty sure I could get away with murder. He said it before. And to be fair, the plan he comes up with is pretty damn good. If this was for some other like elderly man, she gets away with it. There's no question about because he's rich and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I think she'd get away with it.
He slits his own throat to make it look like suicide because he knows he's going to die in 10 minutes anyway. And he also, and I think this is why I actually like the puking gag of her not being able to lie without throwing up. Because it's a believable thing. People feel sick sometimes when they lie. So
bullshit. Lying is such an inherent part of being a human.
Yeah, white lies, but people all have different sensibilities
it is though, Alex.
Levels of lies.
I know you're laughing, but it is.
I mean, but yeah, there are also volumes of lies. There are little white lies, and then there are saying, I have no idea who killed the millionaire novelist.
Yeah, but this film presents it to you as if she can't even do a little white lie. All she can do is omissions of the truth, omissions.
Yeah.
She's not technically lying. It's just omitting parts of the truth.
So in that, and it also adds a barrier, right? It adds a little bit of difficulty to this story. And he kind of, I guess, in this moment, in his head, I imagine he's almost writing the story. Because he does take notes like, wow, that's a really good way to kill someone in a book. But he doesn't let her call an ambulance. They're never going to get there. But he formulates this plan around her being sick. She's like, I can't lie. And he's like, well, you'll tell it in this way. It happened in these 3 steps. But then after this, the film kind of keeps going. And as I said, I was a bit shocked the first time I watched it. Like, okay, it doesn't feel like it's quite going anywhere. Why is it still going? It's not just Marta. There's something here. The donut is there.
I think it's because this gone from a murder mystery to, okay, how is she going to get away with murder now? And I think the film, like as Alex said before, it's a genuine mystery because the film leads you into the way of thinking about, okay, now it's just about how she's going to get away with it without actually giving you all the loose threads that it set up. So at the beginning, it also sets up a thread of like, why has Benoit Blanc been hired to be there?
Yes, I loved this.
And that sort of gets lost in the middle part of the film, but that's why the film is still a mystery all the way throughout. Because some plot threads that are started at the beginning of the film carry all the way through to the end of the film, and you don't actually find out until right at the end.
They do kind of question Blanc as well at times, like, why are you still here? Because he's not sure. They're not sure what it's done. It was a suicide. The police think it's a suicide. Why? And he's like, I'm just investigating. I'm just chilling.
At this point, when it switches, is when we find out that Harlan's changed his will and Marta gets everything. Like he's written everyone else's family out of his will, and Marta gets the money, the publishing company, the house. She's won the lottery, essentially.
I love that scene.
And that's where Chris Evans' character just comes into his own, because that's where we start on this journey of him becoming a main character, and we don't know it yet, but we're on his evil ride.
He's very charming, isn't he, Alex?
I thought so. I was swooning.
I remember when this film came out that there was loads of memes of like Chris Evans at that diner table with his like woolly jumper on. And yeah, he does come into his own and he is very charming. Chris Evans is always charming. Even in like Scott Pilgrim versus the World when he's also playing an arsehole. He's still charming.
Good actor. You can tell this is around Endgame, Avengers Endgame and stuff, because he is, you can tell under all that fur jacket, it's like he is jacked still. Absolutely jacked.
Going back to our inability to lie plot hole, I've discovered that some people with Asperger's can't lie. So it fits. It all works.
I've never heard
she's
Alex
severely
tell a lie.
autistic, and that's how we get away with this.
I've definitely heard Alex tell a lie. I'll do those social media videos.
Alex lies all the fucking... He obvious lies. He's like, it's so obvious.
It's not a lie.
Doesn't count. I'm just a prick.
Like when this bit happens in the film and we start like rolling of like, okay, how is she going to get away with it? I do like how you're led to believe that Ransom is really trying to help her. He's like, fuck the rest of the family. I'm going to help you get away with it. And then you're going to give me some money out of the inheritance and fuck the rest of them. I think that bit is really believable. And I think you do fall for that bit. And it takes you along the journey further.
I really liked the will scene when he helped her escape. But the family losing their absolute rag when the what is the person that delivers a will called?
Solicitor, lawyer.
It's just a lawyer affair. The lawyer telling them, and he's like, he committed suicide. She's getting the money. She's getting the house. She's getting the publishing company. She's getting the copyrights to the books. She could, for all we know, she could tell Walt that he can make a film now if she wanted. She has all the control of his estate. The family get nothing because he's fed up with them. Harlem was fed up with them using him, and they need to do something for themselves now. And I do like in the background as well, his mum that's somehow still alive when he was 85, you're led to believe she's really not corpus mentis, but she knows everything that's going on, bar maybe some dodgy eyesight. Because she's like I love there's a scene in it where she just laughs when they're not getting any money. She's like, she hates all her grandchildren as well.
There are some fantastic bits in that scene from Jamie Lee Curtis. There's the bit where she says, "Get out of our house," and there's the moment where she turns to the lawyer and is like, "Still our house, right?" And he's like, no, it's not. No. And then there's the second part. That's it. Yeah, it's an iconic quote. It's basically her catchphrase.
Yeah.
I also like the line, I think it's the next scene where she goes, she got her hooks in him.
Are you boinking my father?
Apparently that's improvised. That line.
Look, Jamie Lee Curtis is just excellent. I love her in The Bear. I think she played one of the best alcoholic parents in anything I've ever seen. I think it's the most believable, realistic performances of that I've seen. And in this, I just think she plays the kind of neurotic mother quite well, or older woman. She does it in New Girl. She's all loopy, but everything she does is believable. Even if she's given a goofy role, even if she's given a dramatic role, it doesn't matter what she's doing. Everything comes across so believably. And yeah, she's always one of my favourite actors to see a performance from.
She did play a very believable prostitute in Trading Places. One of my favourite films. Very quickly, James.
Yeah, every film's your favourite.
Do you? Yeah, fair enough.
You love cinema. It's great.
James, do you love Jamie Lee Curtis?
I know where you're going to go with this, I think.
Where am I going to go with it?
I don't know where you're going to go with it.
Is your opinion of Jamie Lee Curtis going to change when I tell you that she is a Nepo baby?
Can't believe it's even a question you're pondering. Your answer should have been no, because her talents outmatch her Nepo baby status, surely.
No, it doesn't change. No, it doesn't change. It's a bit like Jack Quaid, who I think they are both. Yes, they may have got a leg up by who that Jack Quaid is in The Boys.
He's the main guy in The Boys.
They may have got a leg up through their parents and their life, but they've backed it up with talent.
This is not a segue I thought we were going to go down.
No, did I?
Knowing what we know now about the diner scene, there's so much in there to unpack. There's the phone call with Meg, where there's two absolutely stunning shots in it. The one where you can just see her eyes in like a letterbox mode, and then the pull out to the family is beautiful. The shot of Meg, her on the phone. There's all the reactions of Hugh when he sat across from her, that he's just unpacking all of this detail that he's getting from her about the murder. There's so much going on in there. But you don't, when you watch it the first time around, like, I didn't pick up on anything that wasn't surface level. Obviously, you know, Meg is working now with the family but she wasn't really against the family. She just wasn't as inherently evil.
She's friendlier, right? She's friendlier with Marta and actually good, but then the family have pushed her to do this, but she would have done it and maybe anyway. It wasn't hard for them to push her to do it.
She was the only one who I think genuinely at the start of the film genuinely saw Marta as family. Like, everyone did say, oh, she's one of the family, she's this, she's that. But in their actual actions toward her, they weren't. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis gave her like the quickest of hugs. Richard like hands her like his dirty plate, like as if she's a maid in one scene. Whereas Meg is the only one who like properly like embraces her when she sees her and like feels that she's a part of the family. So I feel like when in that scene you're watching it, you're like, it's that shot. You're right, Alex. It's that shot of her eyes when it's like in the envelope is incredible, and that's where you turn, and that's where you see, okay, now she's turning on Marta.
It's a small scene where a character is battling a lot because she's definitely feeling guilty about having to do this to Marta, but she wants to go to her school that she goes to that's paid for. She is doing what her parents tell her to do in this situation as well. She seems like a good person, but she's been easily pushed into this situation.
I struggled with the school funding thing because she was the mum was obviously taking money from Harlan and he was sending the checks to the school. Does she not still have money to pay for the school? Has she spent it all on the cream?
She says my mum's broke, so Flam isn't doing very well.
Flam has flammed.
And I think after this scene, it sort of then takes us into like now Marta's getting blackmailed, and they try and go get the toxicology report, and then someone's set fire to the like medical center, so no one's ever really going to know what happened with Marta. Like, did Harlan actually take? I called him a Marlin there for a second. Did Harlan actually have like an overdose of morphine? Like, did she actually like kill him, essentially?
Because the blackmail note was the header, the photocopied header to the toxicology report.
I know we said last week that the pacing of Clue was almost perfect. I think there are certain scenes in this that could have been a short conversation that you didn't really need. But I think once we reach the point of the toxicology, the burning down, this sort of Act 2, I think we're running at almost perfect levels here of pacing.
I think I kind of get what you're saying about the pacing. I do think all of the scenes, nothing. I said when I was watching this, wow, every scene is important. Because I thought, sometimes the scenes start as a lull, especially that diner scene, because it's mostly a conversation and she tells him what's going on before. But he wants to ask the question, what happened with my dad? You can't lie. And you just ate a plate of beans on toast and sausages. And now you're going to be sick.
Very British.
Yeah. I was also like, what the hell? I felt a lot of the scenes led that way. They start and they're mulling along, and then it's like the penny drops. And there's literally when he was interrogating Marta at the start, he flicks a penny, then we get a flashback, and then the penny drops. That's when the flashback's triggered to tell us what actually happened.
It's actually $1.
Fine.
Sorry.
It's a corner. Pedantic fuck.
It's a US silver dollar, apparently worth a few $1,000s.
Okay. But so but I get what you mean. It's marginally longer than just under 2 hours. The runtime online says like 2 hours and 10 minutes, but I think it ended up being like an hour and 55 before the credits roll, approximately.
No, I think it was over 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. But I wasn't that fussed on that. I didn't really notice. I didn't really notice spending 2 hours of my life on it. There wasn't a moment in it where I was like, oh, this is taking a bit too long.
I'll be honest, I think there were bits in that sort of near the end of the second act before we get back to the house and Benoit Blanc explains what's actually happened. Explained the holes in the holes inside the donuts in the donuts. Where I was like, okay, this is dragging a bit. And I was like, I kind of want to go to sleep.
I agree with Alex around when because they were told to meet somewhere she was told to meet someone at somewhere in town, but they go to get the toxicology report where Benoit Blanc is actually they're looking over a fire. The clinic had been burnt down. Ransom and Marta are in the car hiding before they have the funniest, worst police chase. She does well in her little car that barely works before thinking they got away, and they did not get away. And then Harlan's taken into custody. And then we get a scene where Benoit's like, you're finally going to tell me everything that's going on. Did you believe...
Wait, you've missed a bit point there.
Sorry. Go for it.
You've missed that Marta walks in on Fran, the housekeeper, dead or dying, and has like a copy of the toxicology report and says, you did this.
Yeah.
And that's when Benoit Blanc sort of goes, you're going to tell me what's happened.
Yeah. That scene is when that's where the film really kind of we're rolling. I'm in. I remember when the first time I watched it, that like, why the hell is a clinic burned down? This has just got a lot juicier. Oh, and the housekeeper's dying. What the hell is going on?
Did you think this was all happening by accident? You were like, that's a coincidence, isn't it?
I just didn't think that's where it was gonna go.
And then we get into, and then she's like, I'm going to admit that I did this. Marta says she's going to admit that she does this, give up the fortune, and the family are going to do it. And then Benoit Blanc works it out.
But only because she found the stash.
Yeah.
The housekeeper said something about a stash, and then she arrived.
And found the real toxicology report.
Yeah, what's the daughter's name again? Meg said, we'll go into the housekeeper's Fran's stash later, because that's where she hides weed, basically. And she said, the stash. And that had the toxicology report. And that's when, as you say, Benoit does the great thing. It's the running around scene in Clue. It's the end of every episode of Midsummer Murders. Yeah. It's Rosemary in Time. It's Poirot. It's Agatha Christie's Marple. It's all of them. It's
Sherlock.
It's the big reveal, which is always so satisfying.
Yeah, very satisfying. The final scene with Chris Evans running through everything with Benoit Blanc, you get it moves quickly from this point. You get all of the nice wrapping up at the end. You get the Chris Evans trying to tie up his loose ends by murdering Marta. But we learned earlier that it's very hard to tell the difference between a stage knife and a real knife from Harlan. That comes back to get us here when he tries to stab her with a stage knife. And as we know, when you try and stab someone with a stage knife, James, you live in South London, what happens?
Doesn't enter your body.
Doesn't enter your body. Thank you for the knife knowledge there. You also have Jamie Lee Curtis's character seeing a little note with the little rose on it, but she knows she had a special way of communicating with her father. This was the special way. That's how she learns that Don Johnson's character was banging a little Asian lady.
We haven't really talked about how Ransom actually did it, and
no, Ransom. he basically, his plan was that he switched the medicine bottles, so Marta would give Harlan the wrong dosage of morphine, like overdose him essentially, and then try to switch them back so they wouldn't have noticed. But because Marta was such a good nurse, she still picked up the correct bottle.
Yeah, instinctively by the weight of the liquid and stuff. So he wouldn't have died, which is quite brutal, actually. It's really brutal.
So essentially, he did truly die of suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I actually think it's like, as I've said, that there are some lazy tropes written in this film. I do think that's a really smart way of the murder, of the result of the murder. I did find it really satisfying. I did think it was quite clever. And yeah, it kept me guessing, to be honest.
I'm at the other end of that. I actually think that was a little bit lazy. Surely a man as smart as him is not just going to be like, yeah, let's just take the word of the nurse. If the nurse says this kills people in 10 minutes, Why would you not call an ambulance and take that chance?
No, but it will. That drug will. But she used the morphine. Like she used.
No, it's because he knew that he was leaving everything to her. So if he hadn't have done that and he died, then everyone would have just gone, well, the nurse killed him because he's got an overdose of morphine. It's her job to give him the right dosage of morphine. Therefore, she's guilty. She ain't going to get a red dime, as he puts it in the film. So that's why he came up with all of it. They came up with the original scheme of trying to get her out of it because he truly loved her. Like, the one thing we've not actually said in this whole podcast is that every time they refer to Marta, they don't refer to Marta as just his nurse. They refer to him as his friend, and that's what he needed all along.
Yes.
Just a friend. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to leave all his money and all his hard work to his best friend. So he knew that if he had just died of the morphine poisoning, then she wouldn't have got anything.
And Ransom, to be fair to him, he's come across as a selfish prick, and yeah, he's still being selfish, but he is, as he says, it's for the family. It's not just for him. He's not just trying to get his own money, and he will do anything to do it. And in that scene with Benoit, which I think is just brilliant between just him and Daniel Craig, he's like, "You've not got any proof." Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I did do it. I did kill Fran, but you know, it's this. You don't have any proof. I will be done on a small charge of arson and etc.
I have a good lawyer.
I have a good lawyer because I've got money." Ironic because he doesn't actually, because it's Marta's money now. He'll get out of it. But they, again, on the puking, they play the puking as such a good plot device here, because I genuinely, because of the puking situation, I believed that when she got the phone call from the doctors, supposedly, that Fran was alive, and they got her to the hospital just in time. And then, before he stabs her, she has held it in and held it in. He's given his confession that, even though he would have given his confession, it was like just his word, doesn't mean anything without proof. She throws up in his face, and Fran is dead, and they've recorded it. So they know it's all true. And I think I loved how they used the puking in that scene, although it's still rank.
I did really enjoy Chris Evans' little acting after he fails to stab Martha with a prop knife and just goes, shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just really enjoyed that. But then after that scene, Ransom's been taken away and they all look up at Ana de Armas standing on the balcony of the house. I think it's a really, really clever shot, because then it's like her going, the fuck am I going to do with all of you?
Well, no, the way I saw it was they've looked down on her the entire time. As much as their words don't, their actions and their words do not align when it comes to Martha. And she's now looking down on them. They're looking up at her fuming. They can't go in the house. The police are basically there. If they go in the house, she can have them removed. It is her house. They are done.
That's not true. It's America. She would have shot them with a shotgun.
True. She can do that. Because they're trespassing on her property. And then the little mug, that she's drinking, having a cup of tea, and then she's covering up some of the words on it, but the top line of it is my house.
Did you notice it was his mug as well? It was his mug at the start of the film.
Was it? I was like passing the torch.
So she killed him and then took his mug.
There's also a really good point we've not mentioned in this whole scene, and it proves sort of why Benoit Blanc, because at the beginning of the film, when Benoit Blanc's introduced, they all go, oh, we know about you. There was a bit of you in the paper. You're this amazing detective, which basically sets you up. Okay, he's an amazing detective, sure. But there's a bit at the end of the film which actually proves that he is this amazing detective, is that Marta asked him a question going, how did you know I was involved from the start?
Yeah.
And he just points to the tiniest bit of blood on her shoe.
Yeah.
He's like, that's how I knew. Which I thought was a really good sort of detail added there. Because there's a joke before where Alan Summers says, you're not a good detective. All of this is just falling into your lap.
Yeah. But
all the evidence is just falling into his lap.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that line. Really enjoyed that detail.
It's 3 takes time. Who is going first on the 3 takes this week?
Spin the wheel.
Oh, out of commission. We're going to have to dip into the lucky bag of 3 takes. Chandler.
My overall take is I came into this film. I don't think I've watched this film since it came out in 2019. And then, however, Glass Onion I've rewatched actually a couple of times, and I really, really like Glass Onion. So I remember coming into this film going, I'll probably really enjoy it like Glass Onion. And even though I did enjoy it, I personally think the second Glass Onion is actually better than this one. I just remember enjoying the mystery given to you in Glass Onion more than this. But however, I know that sort of give my take more on Glass Onion than Knives Out. But my take on Knives Out, it's a good mystery. It's written really well. There are some things in it where I'm like, that's slightly lazy, slightly like tropey maybe. But all in all, it is a really good film. I think there are bits where it dips in pacing, and you can lose interest slightly along, but then it does bring you back up. And I think this is mainly held together by the performance of Daniel Craig. The one thing we've not mentioned really is how amazing Daniel Craig's accent is, because
he's got some shit for that. But to me, I loved it.
As I was saying, like, some people hated it, some people thought it was shit. I really enjoyed it. I really loved Benoit Blanc's accent in this. I also really hope there's a thing that came out saying he was going to do different accents for the different movies to like really throw people off. I wish he did that, really, but I do love his accent in this one. Oh yeah, there was a really funny line where they say to him, it's like, who the fuck are you, CSI KFC? I enjoyed that line. So yeah, I do think it's a good film. Like, you know, be prepared that the film does dip in the middle at some points, but overall, all in all, a decent watch, and does have good rewatchability, to be fair, for a murder mystery, which I think is crucial, as I said in Clue last week. So yeah, enjoyable film. Alex?
I think it's, well, actually, I'm going to quote my partner here. It's as close to a perfect modern day murder mystery as you can get. She gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. I gave it a solid 4, and she was half watching while she was catching Pokemon.
Oh, nice. What did you catch?
I don't know. I didn't care.
Damn.
I still don't. I think Daniel Craig's southern accent was exactly what we needed to take away the James Bondness that I was feeling for the first 20 minutes-ish of the film. But you know what? It's got everything you need. A good murder, a great detective, an intriguing plot, and some beautiful cinematography to go with it. And an almost faultless script as well that's just full of... It's got corks in all the right holes, and it's lovely stuff.
It's putting donuts in all the right donut holes.
Exactly that. James, what do you think?
I really, really like this film. I remember when it came out, it got a lot of social media traction. It was very well rated and reviewed. Did make me feel like my grandma, because I grew up with her watching Midsummer Murders, all the shows I mentioned earlier on in the record, Rosemary in Time, anything Agatha Christie. Just whereas Chandler watched films too young, I watched medical and murder shows far too young. But I was only traumatized once by a medical show. Story for another day of all the things I saw. But I think it's fantastic. I completely agree with Alex's partner's view that it is as close to a perfect murder mystery as you can get. It takes inspiration from Clue and it wears it well, because Clue was excellent. It's less comedic than Clue, but the mystery is so much better. I think Clue had to lead you along the film with no real answers until the multiple endings, and it had to be very loosey-goosey to be able to give you 3 endings, whereas Knives Out is more focused. Daniel Craig is a marvel in this. I think he's brilliant. I love the southern drawl accent. It's so much fun. He does bring a slight campiness to it, and I remember there were lots of rumours as to whether the character was queer or not, and it's confirmed in Glass Onion that yes, he's a gay character, and I think that upset a lot of people, but whatever. I think he's brilliant, and then thus to support a community around that with a great character that you've also already led a load of people on to love from a first film where you've not mentioned it is quite funny to people that won't like this bombshell. But anyway, yeah, Alex mentioned the cinematography. There's one shot I loved where he is stood with his back, and it is so goofy. He stood with his back away, and it swoops along the chair of surrounded by knives, the budget Game of Thrones throne, and he does this dramatic, very obviously choreographed. I think it's meant to seem like he's turned too late on his take in the recording, and he goes, "And Benoit Blanc is here." It's just brilliant. And my favourite line in the film made me realise, and Chandler mentioned it as well, the through line mystery: who hired me? Who hired Benoit Blanc? Because whoever hired Benoit Blanc settled this up. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's why he stayed. That's why the film kept going. That's the mystery. That is the donut hole. Yeah, for me, really, really excellent. Glass Onion, also brilliant. And I'm very much looking forward to Wake Up Dead Man, the third one that I believe is out this year.
Well, that's another murder mystery solved and in the case book. It's going away again for a long, long time. This was the second of our Murder Mysteries trilogy. Join us next time for my pick. And the guys don't actually know this because it's a slight twist.
We changed it again.
We will be doing Murder on the Orient Express.
Which one?
The 2017 version.
Kenneth Branagh one.
The Kenneth Branagh one with Johnny Depp in it as well.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that'd be very fun.
I'm going to have to watch your other films because I was excited. I'm excited for all your
What were the other two picks you were going to go for? The Fugitive and...
The Fugitive I was going to go for, but I couldn't be bothered seeing The Janitor. And I think Beverly Hills Cop, but I sort of decided that's less of a murder mystery, more of just a crime film.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I thought Murder on the Orient Express, that's OG, fam.
But you've gone for the new one in 2017.
Yes, because I thought the 1960 version would have been too much to stomach. Anyway, that's goodbye from James.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chandler.
Here now, goodbye. That was my attempt at a southern drawl.
And it's goodbye from me. And the rest of the team in Arkansas. Hope you have a wonderful week.
Don't forget to rate, review, and share the podcast. It really helps us grow. Follow us on all our socials, plus our individual Letterboxd accounts. The links can be found in the description at www.hopwithtwopies.bio/3takes or search for 3 Takes of Stupidity on most platforms. Please send us your film and series suggestions on our Hop page or to 3takesofstupidity@gmail.com. Thank you and hope to see you soon.